What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Keeping Up with the Commanders. I'm gonna be honest, not much is happening this week in terms of the Washington Commanders. There's still a bunch of updates though to keep you guys updated, and we'll start with this one. And I guess you could maybe say this is a pretty big announcement, although I think this was kind of obvious in my opinion going into today as I'm recording this on Monday. But Lamar Jackson has requested officially a trade from the Baltimore Ravens. Again, Jackson on the non-exclusive franchise tag right now. You gotta trade 2 first-round picks if you want to get Lamar Jackson, and what will most likely be a fully guaranteed contract that you would have to give him as well. But he announced this via his Twitter, and he also said that he requested it on March 2nd, which was pretty much a month ago. So that pretty much basically tells me that Lamar Jackson needs an agent, because if you're announcing this on Twitter a month after it happened, you need an agent. Okay, I don't know what the entire plan is here. I know he also had some stuff with his agent that's not really an agent because the agent wasn't verified by the NFL or something like that. So, or the NFLPA. There's a bunch of stuff going on with Lamar Jackson. But if Washington wants him, which again, we have Lamar Jackson, this is 100% a playoff caliber team. And this is 100%, in my opinion, a team that can win a game in the playoffs as well, depending on who we go up against. So, again, adding Lamar Jackson would be huge if he can stay healthy. We'd have to give him a almost fully guaranteed contract. And as well, with the entire owner situation, I wouldn't expect Washington to trade for Lamar Jackson within the next week or within the next 2 weeks. I think this situation with Lamar is going to carry out for a very, very, very long time. Now, will he play this upcoming season in 2023? I don't know. But I'm hoping he does for some team, whether it be the Ravens or not, because he's such a fun and exciting player to watch. The NFL is better when he's on the field. But if Washington wants to trade for him, it'd have to be after the team gets sold 100%, because I doubt Daniel Snyder will be giving Lamar Jackson a huge signing bonus along with a fully guaranteed contract, or mostly fully guaranteed contract. That'd probably have to be on the new owner, whether it be Josh Harris or Jeff Bezos or the Fertitta family or whatever. So um, I think there's a bunch of still variables in this Lamar Jackson situation, but I'm hoping I've gone back and forth on this for a while, but I think Lamar Jackson, I'd be happy if we trade for him. It would mean giving up this year's first round draft pick and next year's first round draft pick at least, but I think this would be the right move for Washington, especially if Ron Rivera wants to run heavy offense. So again, there's still a bunch of questions surrounding Lamar Jackson and if he wants to go to a team. He said in his tweet, which I think was funny, is that he wants to stay close, or he's going to stay close to his friends, which a lot of people took into, or a lot of Washington fans took into as, oh, he's going to Washington. He's going to the Washington Commanders because he wants to stay close to his friends in Baltimore. But again, really, he could go to anywhere. Miami, maybe. There's some rumors about New England, possibly. I don't think it's going to happen, but possibly New England and some other teams that have that need a quarterback or possibly need a quarterback. So Lamar Jackson requested a trade from the Baltimore Ravens. If I had to make a guess right now, will Washington trade for him? I think there's a 95% chance that it's no. I think we're rolling into Sam Howell next year. I don't know. Again, with Lamar, I would be happy if we trade for Lamar, but how much would Lamar be? How much would Lamar be rather than Sam Howell, 2 first-round picks, and a whole lot of money saved? So you can basically have, it's basically Lamar Jackson as quarterback next year, or Sam Howell as quarterback next year, and you get to keep 2 first-round picks. You get to keep all that money that you save in salary cap space because you don't have to pay Lamar Jackson. So again, Washington right now sitting, I believe, at $2.5 million in salary cap space, maybe a little bit less than that now. So, anyways, we'd have to make a bunch of cuts, including probably cutting Logan Thomas, Chase Roulier, and some others, if we want to bring in Lamar Jackson and this $35 million fully guaranteed, which is a lot of money that we'd have to pay him. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for Lamar Jackson. Now, also this week, and I think this was a kind of a funny part, Lamar Jackson, he sent out this tweet that was saying he requested a trade right at the start of John Harbaugh's press conference at the league owner meetings. or the league meetings this week that's happening. So yeah, that's pretty funny because Harbaugh surprisingly seemed very calm. Again, I he said he didn't see the tweet. He said that he hopes or he believes everything's going to get resolved. Lamar Jackson will be the quarterback in 2023, yada yada. Pretty much what any other head coach would say that would be in the situation. But he seemed surprisingly calm after Lamar Jackson posted to and told the public that he requested a trade. So my guess is John Harbaugh, he knew about this trade request. And again, if it happened on March 2nd, then yeah, he definitely knew. So I think he was definitely very prepared for this and he knows what he's doing in Baltimore. Now, what happens next with Lamar, I don't know. But if I had to make a guess right now, I think Lamar it's gonna take a long time. I don't see Lamar if he does get traded. I don't see him getting traded until after the draft, after May, probably post June 1st. June, July, maybe. And then if he wants to stay with Baltimore, then it would be he'd have to hold out through training camp most likely. I think it's gonna be one of those long scenarios that are just like, can something please happen? So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. But yeah, I spoke about the league meetings because when will the Washington Commanders get sold? Because apparently last week we were on the goal line. We were first and goal from the 5 yard line, said JP Finley. So where are we now? Because the team right now is still owned by Daniel Snyder. So I don't really know what's happening. There have been reports from John Keim, among some others, that the team is not expected to be sold during these league meetings, which is pretty unfortunate this week. Now, if something does happen, I feel like the league meetings this month would be a pretty good place to have something happen. And then the next league meetings are, I believe, after the draft, sometime in May. Now, I talked about this deadline last week as well, with all the signing bonuses for all the big free agents that we signed, and Daron Payne as well on his extension. May 12th is, I'm pretty sure it's going to be the deadline. The team will be sold by May 12th. When will it be sold? I think this week was a big possibility, but with Keim, among some other beat reporters, reporting that it's not happening this week, or it's not expected to get done this week, that I think Keim said there was some skepticism or something like that. So I don't expect it to get done this week, which is pretty unfortunate. So yeah, that's pretty much the stuff on the Commanders owner update in terms of when will the team get sold. Another thing is that Snyder will accept a bid from Jeff Bezos. There have been some reports about that as well. So is this Snyder trying to raise the price of the Washington Commanders and trying to get Josh Harris and some of the other minority groups as well to raise their prices in terms of what Snyder wants? As I think Josh Harris, I'm pretty sure reported, I told you the podcast about this last week, but Josh Harris his bid was $6 billion. So is Snyder trying to raise the price? That'd definitely be a Snyder move, saying that he will accept a bid from Jeff Bezos, even though he might not, or definitely won't be. So I think he's just trying to raise the price. I don't actually think he'll sell it unless Jeff Bezos sells the Washington Post, which a flip flop could be pretty interesting. I think I've talked about in the past too about Snyder, how he lives in Europe now. He lives in England. So I guess there's some talks about him purchasing Liverpool in a flip flop with the current Liverpool owner. I'm not sure if Liverpool got sold by now or not, but there's some rumors about possible flip flops, Snyder getting Liverpool and the Liverpool owner getting the Washington Commanders. That is not happening. So that was definitely something to think about. But yeah, that is pretty much it for the Commanders owner update this week. Moving on with Daniel Snyder. He declined to be interviewed in the ongoing Mary Jo White investigation. I just realized that I have not talked about this Mary Jo White investigation for a long time. I don't even know if I've ever talked about this on the podcast, but in case you don't know what the Mary Jo White investigation is, it's basically the investigation currently onto Daniel Snyder and his financial stuff and all the other stuff, all the other bad stuff that he's done. So that is currently the current investigation. There was another investigation that happened a few years ago. The reports came out. Goodell saw it, but the public couldn't see what actually was reported. But for this one, I'm pretty sure they're saying that the public will be able to see the results from what Mary Jo White investigates. Now, I doubt this is really going to have an effect on Daniel Snyder and him selling the team because, look, Snyder selling the team anyways, I think it's pretty much confirmed now. He's not going to be the owner 6 months from now. I doubt he's the owner a year from now, this time next year. I'm like 90% sure by May 12th, we will have a new owner for the Washington Commanders. So will this affect Dan Snyder? No, I think this Mary Jo White investigation has gone on for a very long time. I don't really know what they're searching for now because I feel like they found everything they needed, and I think they can all put it together now. But I listened to the radio the other day, and I forgot who was talking about this, but someone was saying that the what if Goodell, or so they said Goodell. This was their theory: is that Goodell told Snyder that, hey, we won't release, because this was the NFL that has this investigation. This is Goodell's investigation. He hired Mary Jo White to lead the investigation. So Goodell told Snyder, hey, we won't release this investigation and this report on you if you sell the team. And Snyder, this is kind of what made Snyder really the momentum forward and possibly selling the team come now, which we're sitting on March 27th, 2023. And it feels like any week now, Daniel Snyder could sell this team. So that was one theory. And I think that's a very possible theory because how else are you going to get Snyder out? Because if the first investigation didn't work, why would a second investigation work? Because they're basically investigating the same stuff. So I don't really think it's going to have an effect on Snyder. I don't think it's ever going to be released if Snyder sells the team before the report is released. I don't think the report will ever be released on Snyder. So, or released to the public on Snyder. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Daniel Snyder. Moving on to another thing, I talked about Michael Jordan possibly being want to be a minority owner this for the Washington Commanders, possibly joining a group. Well, another Hall of Fame basketball player has actually joined a group and has joined the Josh Harris and Mitchell Rales group. That is Los Angeles Lakers star Magic Johnson. And yeah, this is pretty big because the Harris and Rales group right now, in my opinion, is the front runners to buy the team. There's rumors that they already bought the team by now. So I think, especially with Magic Johnson joining this group, I really think that it's actually going to happen. Josh Harris and Mitchell Rales, if I had to make a guess right now, will be the new owners of the Washington Commanders, along with Magic Johnson, which I think is a great minority owner as well. So, yeah, last week there was rumors about Michael Jordan. That really hasn't gotten any more traction past those rumors, unfortunately, or I guess fortunately, because personally I didn't want Michael Jordan to be a minority owner in the Commanders. But Magic Johnson has joined the Harris Group officially. So Josh Harris, Mitchell Rales, Magic Johnson, among some other of the minority owners as well. I think there's a few others. I just don't remember what their names were. But yeah, that's pretty big. Magic Johnson joining the Josh Harris group into the possibly buying the Washington Commanders, which I think, again, like I said, could happen any week now. It really feels like be prepared for anything. I know that a lot of the beat reporters have been told. John Kine has come out and said personally that he's been being told that be ready for anything, any moment, any day, any time. This sale could happen is really imminent. So that is something that is very interesting to see. All right, that is pretty much that. Now we got the weekly mock draft, and before I get to the weekly mock draft, I know AJ pointed this out to me. What will happen to it? Because now, of course, PFF, you now have to subscribe to PFF to use their mock draft simulator, which is just very unfortunate, really stupid, because that is pretty much the only thing people use PFF for nowadays, because the PFF grades aren't usually that great unless you work for PFF, then you use them a lot. But besides that, yeah, you're not allowed to use a mock draft database. You now have to pay for it, which is unfortunate. So today I used Pro Football Network, or PFN, this time. So the results in the big board looked a little bit different. But yeah, let's just jump right into it. Round 1, pick 16. This might come as a stunner for some people, but I chose Brian Branch with guys like Devin Witherspoon, Joey Porter Jr., both off the board. I'm trying to get like a variety of players that Washington could draft. I'm not trying to draft the same people every time. And Brian Branch, I think this is the first mock draft where I actually drafted him, and especially drafting him over Joey Porter Jr. and Devin Witherspoon is pretty bold. But you know how Washington and Ron Rivera loves his Buffalo nickel. Brian Branch can play that Buffalo nickel role very well. So you're going to have now Cam Carl, who we could possibly extend this offseason. And then you have, why am I blanking? Why am I blanking right now? I think Derek Forrest as well, across from Cam Carl. I was blanking on his name. And then you have Brian Branch as well as your three safeties. So that will definitely be three great safeties to look at. Brian Branch can play that Buffalo nickel role, like that sub linebacker safety type person. So that'd be pretty great. Now drafting in round one for just that role specifically is a little bit of a reach, but in my opinion, again, I'm trying to get a bunch of different names on here. So Brian Branch in round one, and then in round two, again, I'm using the PFN mock draft simulator, and they had Osiris Torrance as I believe like 51st or 49th or 50th on their big board. So he was available in round two. So I decided to take him, Osiris Torrance. I've talked about him before, I'm pretty sure, on this podcast. He's a Florida guard, great run blocker, really going to be a starting offensive guard or possibly even play center maybe. But I think it's pretty solid that Chase Roullier will be our starting center. So again, getting more depth with Osiris Torrance on that inside. I know we brought in Nick Gates, and I believe we brought in another inside offensive lineman as well, but I could be wrong on that. So yeah, you can never have too much depth on that offensive line, especially with a team like Washington that in the past the offensive line has really gotten beaten up towards the end of the year. So that's what I took in round two. In round three, I took the Washington State linebacker Dion Henley. I know I said I'm not taking the same people over and over, but I really like this guy, and if we can get him in round three with that compensatory pick, then that'd be great because I like Dion Henley, a linebacker that really can come in and be. I know we have Cody Barton now from Seattle. We have Jamin Davis. But for that third linebacker, we can really put in Dion Henley, and I really like that pick. In round four, I chose a different Maryland cornerback than the one that's been than the one that's been getting first round hype, and Deontay Banks. I took Jacorian Bennett in the fourth round to get some more cornerback depth. I know we got Kendall Fuller, we got Benjamin St-Juste. We have Cam Dantzler now from Minnesota, who I'm actually pretty excited to see play because I think he still has a lot of potential, or he can definitely be better than what he played like in Minnesota. Again, he was a former third round pick 2 years ago, I believe, or 3 years ago. So I took Jacorian Bennett there, and then in round five, I went tight end, and I selected Will Mallory, the tight end out of Miami. I know we've gotten a lot of round five, round six, sometimes round four, and round seven tight ends in the past. John Bates, what's his name, Cole Turner as well. We took in the fifth round last year, but we're taking another tight end, Will Mallory. Again, I'm really waiting for us to cut Logan Thomas because I don't think he's that great anymore. But the more we wait, the more I don't think we're actually going to cut him, which is kind of sad to me because again, this tight end room is really getting held back because of Ron Rivera's love for Logan Thomas, which again, he's a great guy, but he is getting on the older side. He's dealt with some injuries, so I think it's really time to get younger at that tight end spot. We have Armani Rogers as well, who I really liked last year as well, especially in the preseason too. He was definitely making some big plays. So in round six, I selected a wide receiver out of Penn State, pairing him up with Jahan Dotson, his former teammate, Mitchell Tinsley. Again, he's a smaller guy, I believe, but again, he's similar to Jahan Dotson, where he's a smaller guy, and then he can go up and catch it. So again, similar to Jahan Dotson, we have some guys that I know we lost Cam Sims to Las Vegas, not Oakland, to Las Vegas. That was definitely something that is pretty notable in free agency. So we lost Cam Sims, and then we have Marcus Kemp, who's a very similar player to Cam Sims, but he has experience in that Eric Bieniemy offense in Kansas City. Bring in Mitchell Tinsley, a little bit more depth. I know the wide receiver room is very tiny. Again, Terry McLaurin, he might go up and catch those big passes, but he's very tiny receiver. Same with Jahan Dotson. Same with De'Ami Brown as well. So another pretty small wide receiver in round six, but hey, why not team him up with Jahan Dotson again? I think that'd be pretty cool. And so with our other round six pick, I went with Malik Cunningham. I've been going a lot in these round six and round seven with some younger, some kind of high potential but really low floor type quarterbacks. And so Malik Cunningham, I've been flip flopping him and Dorian Thompson Robinson a lot in these mock drafts out of Louisville. He's again, he's kind of like a Lamar Jackson light. He can run the football a lot. He can pass the football, but yeah, he's like Lamar. He's like a 10th of Lamar Jackson. So that is who I drafted in round six with the compensatory pick that we got for Tim Settle last offseason. And then in round seven, I selected the offensive tackle out of Baylor, Connor Galvin. I don't really know much about him, but we do need some depth on the offensive tackle side. We have Charles Leno, we have Andrew Wiley. Sam Cosmi might move inside, but in this case, with drafting Osiris Torrance, I guess you can move him back inside, but we still have Andrew Norwell as well. So that is it for this weekly mock draft. And that is it for this week's episode of Keeping Up with the Commanders. Uh, Not that much this week in the Commanders world, but hopefully we get some big news, especially on the owner side of things for the Washington Commanders within the next week. I will not be having an episode next week. I almost forgot to say that. I won't be having an episode next week. I'll be in Costa Rica. But the week after that, I'll have an episode again. So no episode next week. We're going to take a break. And then next week's episode, in 2 weeks, I might be doing some position rankings because I'll be honest, I've been slacking a lot on the watching film of draft prospects. Just haven't really been motivated that much after watching like 30 prospects in a month. So, yeah, I've taken like a 2 week break, but I'm gonna get back to watching film and stuff. Watch some key guys, probably like Joey Porter Jr., Brian Branch, and some of the other guys, Osiris Torrance. So, some of those bigger names that I still need to get to, as I think I'm like 35 prospects in so far. So a little bit of catching up to do. But yeah, that's it for this week's episode of Keeping with the Commanders. See you guys in the next one. Peace.